Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to talk about the man Alexander Usyk, or Alexander Usyk. I don't want to say Alexander. Let's get it right because he's dude's a tremendous fighter. Alexander Usyk, man. I didn't get a chance to talk about him in the World Boxing Super Series, but for those of you who don't know, been living under a rock, this man thoroughly outclassed and defeated Murat Gassiev and became the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. So that now begs the question. Well, actually, hold on. Before I get into that, first of all, with the just to talk about the performance, I thought it was one of the most poised and well thought out performances I've seen in boxing in quite some time. It was a fight where as the fight wore on, you really didn't see Usyk overcommit to any of his shots. He would throw little flicking jabs and he would move and slip shots, but he would throw shots at different speeds to keep Gassiev out balance. And it wasn't until maybe those latter rounds, heading into the championship rounds, seventh, eighth round on, where he really began to sit down on his punches and it hurt Gassiev. So the patience he showed, the defensive ability he showed, just the boxing IQ to put Gassiev in uncomfortable situations time in and time again, and that really allowed Gassiev to cut the distance on him and work the body the way he needed to defeat Usyk. Overall, it was a masterful performance, and that was the final of the inaugural World Boxing Super Series for the cruiserweight division, and he is now the first undisputed champion in the cruiserweight division since the great Evander Real D Holyfield. That's no small accomplishment, and he's the first undisputed cruiserweight champion in the four-belt era, also not a small accomplishment. So you look at Usyk, and you look at what he's done in his career. You look at, okay, this guy entered the tournament. He fought every champion that was available out there to him. He fought Gassiev, undefeated. He fought Briedis, undefeated. Beat them both. Fought Marco Huck in the first round of that tournament. Marco Huck is not the Marco Huck of old, but he's still a quality fighter. And Marco Huck is one of the best cruiserweights of all time. I believe he has I think he had the most defenses of all time in cruiserweight history. I'm pretty sure, or he might have been second to Johnny Nelson, but he's one or two. So one of the best cruiserweights of all time. So he beat one of the top 3 or 4 best cruiserweights of all time in Huck, and then pretty much starches or defeats with relative ease Briedis and Gassiev in the fights going into that. So now he's undisputed. And then even before that fight, he beat Michael Hunter, who was a respectable, undefeated American fighter. In unanimous decision. He KO'd Sebastian Mchunu, who was one of the tougher fighters in the division. He fought Krzysztof Glowacki, who was undefeated world cruiserweight champion, who had ended the long title reign of Marco Huck. And that was really his first big win back in 2016 of his career. So you're looking at, look at the names he's beaten. He's beaten a who's who of his division, although a lot of these guys are Eastern European fighters, and maybe a lot of American fight fans might not be as familiar with these guys as the welterweight division, other divisions. These are still some of the better fighters in boxing. This is one of the most top 3 or 4 stacked weight classes in boxing. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you look at Glowacki, you look at Marco Huck, Briedis, Gassiev, Michael Hunter, Mchunu. We're talking about a easy 6 quality wins. We're talking about a man who is 15 fights into his career, has already conquered one of boxing's most stacked weight classes, is undisputed champion, and there's people out there that are clamoring for this guy to move to heavyweight and fight Joshua. They're pegging this guy as a guy to beat Joshua now. So it's going to be I don't know if that. I don't know. I think he would have a great chance of defeating Joshua if he could stay away from his power, because boxing wise, he'll box circles around Joshua. No doubts about it. He'll box circles around Joshua, but can he stay away from the power long enough? That's the question. So people are looking at. I remember I said this a long time ago, because I remember Mr. Boxing Today was the first guy I heard talk about this. That this guy has the potential to kind of, in his own way, be this modern day version of Evander Holyfield, being a guy that is going to dominate cruiserweight, move to heavyweight, and even have success at heavyweight. So we're looking at 15 fights, undisputed champion, 2 gold medals in the amateurs. Nobody's really, outside of maybe Briedis, gave him that much of a hard time, because he dealt with Gassiev relatively easily. And basically what I'm saying is this guy has a legitimate claim, about as a legitimate claim as anybody, just based on what he's done, how he's looked, and who he's beat, and how he's beat them, as the pound king of boxing. I still think, there's still He's still there's still more he could do, but I mean his claim is about as strong as anybody's. Probably more, just as much as Lomachenko, just as much as Crawford, just as much as Triple G. Because the fact of the matter is he's beating better opponents. Triple G, he went undisputed, which is something Triple G failed to do, and he's looking to move up another weight class in the near future into boxing's most glamorous weight class. So there's that. Lomachenko, we like Lomachenko. I love Lomachenko. I think he's the most skilled fighter in boxing, but he didn't go undisputed. He hasn't unified like titles like that, like Usyk has yet. So there's still that. And even in terms of opposition, his opposition isn't quite what Usyk's opposition is. So I would even say, you'd have to say based on what he's done and who he's beaten and how he's beaten them, that he's even better than Lomachenko. In terms of that, he has more of a claim than Lomachenko in terms of pound for pound king. And then as far as Crawford, Crawford is a tremendous fighter. He's passed the eye test, but he hasn't had the opposition yet to validate what we've been seeing with the eye test. So there's still a lot to be there. So I'm looking at Usyk, man. I'm having a hard time not putting him as the pound for pound king because he has done so much in such a short time, and he's dominated in such a short time that you gotta respect him. And you may not be as familiar with the guys he's beaten, but understand these guys he would beat. The most stacked divisions in boxing right now are 147, cruiserweight, light heavyweight. Not in that particular order, but it's in the top 3 most stacked weight classes. At one point, 115 was in the discussion, but Roman Gonzalez has kind of faded. Inoue has moved up, and it's not as strong. It's still strong. It's still in the top 5, but it's not. I think light heavyweight has definitely surpassed 115 at this point. So I would say cruiserweight. I would say cruiserweight before this tournament started. Cruiserweight was probably the most stacked division of all boxing, and Usyk won the tournament with relative ease. And to be honest with you, his reign at cruiserweight might not even be done. He's undisputed now. They're talking about him fighting Tony Bellew, which a lot of people are kind of writing that fight off. I think if you're going to make a defense against Tony Bellew, that's a fantastic fight. I think it's a fantastic fight. I'll get into that later on in another video. But this man should be recognized, and there should be more people out there saying that this guy has a legitimate claim to pound for pound throw him. Because I was saying back in January or February, when I made the video, I was saying that if he wins the tournament, which he did, if he wins the tournament, he will have a legitimate claim to the pound for pound throne. And he's won the tournament, and I'm saying it. He has a legitimate claim to the pound for pound throne. Probably more of a strong claim than Mikey, definitely more than Mikey Garcia, more than Inoue, more than Rungvisai, more than Nietes, more than Spence. If you put Joshua on the list, more than Joshua, more than anybody probably. I don't see someone who has a combination of resume, level of opposition, the way you're beating your fighters, eye test. Nobody's ticking all those boxes quite like Usyk is, and because of that, I might have to say, I'll say it right here, man. I have Usyk as the pound for pound king of boxing right now. I have Usyk 1, Lomachenko 2, Triple G 3, Terrence Crawford will be 4, and then 5 I'll put Rungvisai. 6 will be Inoue. 7 would be something like Spence. 8 would be like maybe Mikey Garcia, but if not Mikey Garcia, Donnie Nietes. Mikey Garcia would be somewhere around 9 or 10, but Joshua probably somewhere on there. So I think I really can't think of a fighter who has more of a claim. And if you can name one, state your case for them down below in the comments, because Usyk he's passing the eye test. He's beating the right fighters. He's undisputed. How can you go against this guy? I have a hard time to, and I unfortunately for Lomachenko, I had to bump him off a pound for pound throne and give it to Usyk because he's doing his damn thing right now. He's on his job, as they would say. So I'll get into why I think Bellew versus Usyk is a great fight, a better fight than people think in my next video. But for now, I'll leave it at that. Oleksandr Usyk is a pound for pound king of boxing. He has dethroned Lomachenko. Lomachenko now has to do a little more if he is to dethrone Usyk of that spot. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Follow True School Sports on Instagram at True School Sports. I recently just hit 1,000 followers. Peter Quillen followed me, so shout out to Peter Quillen and congrats on his victory against Jalen Love recently. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single video. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.